Hi, it's Elyse here at Bowman Library with a whole new middle grade book spotlight. So this week, we are exploring some pretty fantastic fantasy stories. And here's my disclaimer on this. How do I get to call them fantastic? Because I will admit, I am not the biggest fantasy reader. If anything, I kind of shy away from it. Like, I just can't sometimes get into fantasy. But the six we're going to take a look at are some of my favorite fantasy reads over the past couple of years. I loved these. So here I am, a self-proclaimed non-fantasy reader, telling you, you have to read these. That's how fantastic they are. So I cannot wait to get started, tell you about these 6 books. So let's just go. Our first one is A Tale Dark and Grim. Now this book combines many of the Grimm fairy tales into one action-packed fantasy retelling. Now we go through this adventure with Hansel and Gretel, who start our story being separated from their parents. Now the rest of the book is the adventure they take in order to be reunited with them. That's going to be easier said than done now, okay? Along the way they encounter dragons, evil kings, magicians, bakers who want to eat them, and more. All inspired by various Grimm fairy tales, many of which maybe we've never even heard before, because we kind of know the standards. There are so many Grimm fairy tales out there that we don't even know. They're all kind of wrapped up in here. Now, this is the first in a trilogy. All 3 books are out, okay? Now, I will be completely honest with you. This one is not for the faint of heart, because the actual Grimm fairy tales, if you read the originals, are not as friendly as what we know them to be in our Americanized versions of what they've become here, okay? So there are some pretty gruesome scenes. There might be, depending on your squeamish level, everyone's going to read them a little bit differently, but you have been forewarned, okay? This is A Tale Dark and Grim. A Snicker of Magic. So Felicity and her younger sister, Franny Jo, they've always been moving as their mother is what she calls a wandering spirit. When they arrive at Midnight Gulch, Tennessee, however, things start to kind of feel like click at the place that this is where they belong. Felicity soon learns, though, as she's learn about the town, that the town was once filled with magic. But that magic has since left due to a curse that has been placed over the entire town. But even though there's a curse, there are still some snickers of magic left, allowing people to do things they normally maybe couldn't do, including making some of the best ice cream and baked goods around. I feel like that's pretty good magic right there, not gonna lie. Now, Felicity really wants to stay, and she's afraid that her mother is going to make the move once again. So with some help from her new friend Jonah, they concoct a plan that uses some snicker of magic to hopefully let them stay. Now, if you like your fantasy, more of a little bit of a light fantasy, some magic mixed in with some friendship and some family stories, you will love this story. This is A Snicker of Magic. The Serpent's Secret. I know, right? Gorgeous cover to begin with right there. Just makes you want to read it, doesn't it? Now, Kieran's Mala, also known as Kieran, okay, she's growing up in New Jersey, and her parents have always told her that she is a real Indian princess. But she has never believed them until the day of her 12th birthday, because it is then that she comes home from school and she finds that not only are her parents missing, but there's a Rakosh, or an Indian demon, in her house waiting to eat her. Not the best birthday right there, okay? Now, the only way she escapes from this whole situation is when 2 Indian brothers kind of appear out of nowhere, okay? That they are princes, they come in, they help her escape and flee. Now, Kieran then finds herself in a place called the Kingdom Beyond, which is an alternate dimension that's where her parents are being held captive. And then she also learns that, guess what? She is indeed an Indian princess. And she had a spell cast over her, protecting her until she turned 12. And that was when she was going to learn the truth of her situation. Now, it's going to be up to Kieran and her new friends to help her save her parents before they are eaten by an Indian demon. Non-stop action, adventure, filled with some Indian mythology and some fantasy. It's one that you won't be able to put down. It's the first in the series, okay? You will want book 2 because you will want to know what happens with Kieran every step of the way as she comes to terms with not only does this stuff exist, but she's actually an Indian princess too. I mean, like, not everyone wakes up on their 12th birthday to finding out they actually are an Indian princess and a demon is trying to get them, okay? So, yeah. Incredible story. This is The Serpent's Secret. Oh, Pashmina, a gorgeous graphic novel, okay? I love me a graphic novel. So Priyanka is growing up in the United States, and she knows that her mother came from India years before leaving her father there. But Priyanka does not know any more, and her mother refuses to talk about any of it. It is when Pri finds a pashmina, okay? A scarf, okay, in one of her mother's ancient suitcases, and then she decides she's gonna put it on. She finds herself transported to India, and it is filled as only she could imagine with animals and food and colors that are so vibrant they are hard to even picture. When a family crisis happens, though, and Pri finally gets to go to India for real in person, she sees a completely different country from the one that she saw with the pashmina on. But she finally has her chance to get to learn more about her family and, even more importantly, her mother, okay? This amazing graphic novel, okay, that uses some fantasy in a little bit of a different way, because fantasy comes in all shapes and forms here, okay? It's one that you will be on this amazing journey alongside Pri as she starts to learn and figure out who she is, where she came from, and where she is going. This is Pashmina. Okay. Completely different from the one we just looked at. This is the Ninja Librarians. That's right. We got some ninjas that are librarians, okay? Those siblings, Dory and Marcus, they find themselves on the start of a crazy adventure when they are chasing a mongoose, okay, this little animal, through their local library. And as they're chasing this animal in the library, they find themselves in the janitor's closet, and all of a sudden, they are falling through the floor in this closet. When they land, they look around and they realize they are in a secret library. And not only is this library like a complete secret, it is actually the headquarters for a society of secret librarians who are ninjas. That's right. Now, these librarians go on time traveling missions to help individuals who are having their words challenged by society. As Dory and Marcus start to train with them, a document is stolen. They are accused of stealing it, and Dory and Marcus decide that the only way they are going to be able to clear their name is to go find the document, travel through time and return it to its rightful place. Now, this adventure-filled fantasy there's sword fighting and there's ninja trading, there's some time traveling, has a little bit of everything that you might like with your fantasy, including a secret library society. I mean, come on, how cool is that, okay? This is the Ninja Librarians. And our last one is book 1 in a series. Okay, we have books 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, I think, should be coming out shortly. This is Arusha and the End of Time. Now, Arusha lives with her mother in the Museum of Ancient Indian Art and Culture. As she's famous for spinning stories to her classmates, they call Arusha out for some of her lies. They're finally over kind of like the stories that she makes up. They call her out on some of it, and she decides that she is going to prove that she is actually correct. And what she does is they go into the museum, and she finds this ancient lamp, and she decides she's gonna light it. Even though they've all, especially Arusha, they've been explicitly told not to light this lamp. She decides she's going to do it anyways. And when she does, she accidentally releases the Sleeper. It is a creature who is destined to end time. That's right. That's why she probably shouldn't have lit that lamp, okay? So Aru discovers that she is a Pandava, which is a sibling who can defeat the Sleeper. Now it's going to be up to her, along with her soul sister and fellow Pandava, Mimi, to stop the end of the world. Filled with references to Hindu mythology, there's fantasy. If you love Percy Jackson, You will love this series, okay? So again, this is book 1. Hey, the others following are out. Book 2, I set it on the shelf, okay? Oh, if you like some fantasy with some adventure, Arusha and the End of Time. So these are 6 fantasy titles here that I can pretty much guarantee that they're pretty fantastic. Because you know what? Again, me being the fantasy reader that I am, which is not nearly as much as other people, loved these books, okay? So I encourage you to come on out. Check out one of these. Or we do have other fantasy, okay? I promise. We can help you find whatever that perfect one is you're looking for to read maybe over the weekend. We got you, okay? So come on out. We'll help you find that perfect fantasy book. I hope you have an amazing week, and I hope you tune back next time when we have a whole new middle grade book spotlight.